you sexy little YouTuber you. My name is John, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can install Optimizely CMS 12. Now Optimizely CMS, also formerly known as Episerver CMS, was released in September 2021. And the amazing thing about this CMS is that it's actually fully .NET 5 compliant. So this means we can use our .NET cores, and gone are the days of the ASP.NET framework. So long live .NET Core. Now, because we're installing the CMS through .NET Core, the install instructions are completely different from the previous versions of the CMS. So I thought I'd do a video. I'll show you how to set up SQL, IIS, install the blank website, set up the database users, and give you everything you need to get success building super cool things with CMS 12. So this is super exciting. Now, if you haven't come across my videos before, my name is John and I do weekly YouTube videos, stuff on CMS, developer productivity, all that amazing stuff. So if you want to learn more about CMS 12, I reckon that you smash that subscribe button and become an absolute legend. So we're going to kick this video off. I'm going to show you how to install SQL and make sure that you set it up for Optimizely CMS 12 success. In order to get going with CMS 12, you're going to need to host a database somewhere. Now, by default, you could potentially think about hosting the database on the file system itself. However, this is not optimal for development. What I recommend you do is head over to the Microsoft site if you haven't already, download SQL Server or SQL Server Express, depending on how much cash money you have. And you also want to install SQL Server Management Studio, SSMS. Now, in order to install a website or sample site, we're going to need our website talking back to our database. And this is done using a username. So we'll need a username and a password. Now, by default, when you install SQL Server, Microsoft disable all the things. So you won't be able to create an account without doing some configurations. So after installing SQL Server, fire up SSMS and then click on this little plug button. So the first time you log in, you're going to have to use Windows Authentication. Click on Connect. Now, to enable a username and password to log into SQL, right click on your instance, and I'm sorry it's a bit small, there's not much I can do about it. Click on Properties, and then you can see that we have this Security tab. So clicking on here. Now, by default, when you install SQL Server, this is going to be set to Windows Authentication mode. And what you want to do is change the server authentication to SQL Server and Windows Authentication mode. So this is going to allow that username and password to connect to the database. Now, after enabling this, we actually need to create an account. So go into security, and as you can see, we have logins, and in here, you can either create a new account or we can use the default SQL admin account. Now, whenever you're setting anything up for the first time, I recommend that you always use the SA account. In terms of good practices, all that sort of stuff, it's not the best. However, it just means that you won't encounter any issues and things should go through smoothly. After you've got everything up and running, feel free to change the password yourself. So with SA, first time, what you want to do is right click on it, go to Properties. Now the first thing you want to do is just go to this Status. And in Status, you want to make sure that you have permission to connect to database engine is grant. And also you want to login enabled. Now if you go to the General tab, you will see that we've got the ability to change the SA password. So I always do this. So let's just do of course it doesn't match. Let's change it to just password. Nope. And then what you want to do is disconnect using the little disconnect plug. Reconnect, and then you always want to test this before actually setting up your website because it's going to save you a world of pain. So now select SQL Server Authentication, login is SA, and then password is the password we just set. And if everything's gone according to plan, you should be able to up your databases. You should be able to see some databases in here. And this means that you know that when you're going to install CMS 12 and you connect the connection string details in, you know that it's going to work and everything is a-okay. So the next thing we need to do is install SQL Server and make sure that we have a website set up. Our next step is to configure a hostname locally, and the hostname is going to allow us to view our website through a web browser. So instead of making a request, it goes off to the internet. What's going to happen is that we're going to type in our hostname into a browser. It's going to get mapped to our local web server, IIS. We're then going to create a website in IIS, which is going to map to our sample site files. And this way we're going to be able to view our site within a browser without having to worry about having any Express up and running or running a .NET run. So this is super simple. What you want to do is open up a code editor, IDE, whatever you want, as long as it is in admin mode, otherwise you won't be able to do a save. And what you want to do is open up the host file. So open file, and as you can see here, it is Windows, System 32, drivers, etc. And in here you'll find a file called hosts. Remember, have all files selected, because in some editors like Notepad, it will be hidden. So open up your host file, and what you want to do is map 127.0.0.1, which is localhost, to a host name. So I'm going to call mine CMS 12. And that's all we need. It's now time for us to make sure that IIS is installed okay. We're going to install a module to make sure that .NET 5 works with IIS. And finally, we're going to install a website. Now, we're not going to be able to do all of our configuration now, because what we need to do is install our sample site and the files. However, I prefer doing this as a prerequisite, just to make sure that when we start installing stuff, it all goes smoothly. So what you want to do is in your Windows taskbar, do a search for turn Windows features on or off. Then from here, you want to make sure that Internet Information Services is ticked. You want to make sure that Worldwide Web Services is ticked. Then you want to make sure, well, I do at least, is that everything in application development features is enabled. So all your .NET 4.8s and 3.5s. I also like to make sure that the common HTTP features, HTTP redirection is enabled. Now, because we're using .NET 5, we're also going to need to install an additional module. So if you head over to the .NET Core website, so .NET 5, what you want to do is make sure this hosting bundle. So go to .NETmicrosoft.com, .NET 5, on the top right, as you can see here, we've got Windows hosting bundle. So what you want to do is click on that, download the little download right down here, run through it and install it. This is going to allow you to run .NET Core or .NET 5. Assuming you've done that, it's time to create a new website. So fire up IIS, you can do it from the taskbar, just doing Internet Information Services, as you can see here. Now expand your IIS, and what you want to do is click on your website, click on Add Website. Now I'm going to call mine CMS 12. Now the physical path is going to map to a folder I've already created in this proof of concept, and it is called CMS 12. Click OK, and the host name CMS 12 as we created a second ago. Now what you want to do is in your application pools, click on that, and from here you can see that we have CMS 12, and by default it will probably go to ASP.NET 4.0. So what you want to do is right click on this. You want to click on Advanced Settings, and you see here where it's got .NET CLR version. You want to have this set to No Managed Code. Ta-da! Click OK. Now the other thing I should point out here is permissions. So what I normally do is right click on CMS 12, click on Edit Permissions, and this is going to give us this dialog. Click on Security. Then from here, what you want to do is have a look at your list. I always want to make sure that the everyone account is there with full modified permissions. Now again, this isn't the best for security. However, just getting something up and running without the minimal, without getting any issues, make it as easy as possible for yourself, just add everyone. So to do this, we just go advanced, not advanced, sorry. We go edit. Then what we want to do is add. From here, just type in everyone, click OK, and then do a full control and click apply. Now the more safer way of doing this is again clicking on edit, this time click on advanced, do find now, and from here what you'll want to add, if you want to be very exact on your permissions, is you want to add in the iUser. So here you can see that we have IIS iUsers. So basically anything with IIS you want to add. And it's also a good idea to add in a network service. So If you want to be very exact with your permissions, do that. However, if you want the cheap and easy option, just go for everyone. And you need to make sure that they have read and write, so full control or modify. And that is pretty much everything you need to do to set up IIS. It's time to install the CMS. One of the things I most love about CMS 12 at the moment is that you can completely install a sample site through the terminal. So gone are the days where you have to install a empty ASP.NET Framework website and then use NuGet to install everything, or use the Visual Studio extension. Instead, we can just fire up everything through the terminal. Now, I will say before we go through this, all the commands I'm about to type in are available from a tutorial which is linked below. So instead of you trying to painfully copy and paste everything from the screen right now, just use that tutorial and copy and paste everything, and that's going to be much easier for you. So the first thing we need to do is install the empty .NET Episerver template. Now after this, we're going to install the Episerver CLI tool, and then using the CLI tool, we can install a new instance of our website. So the command that we need to run is this .NET space new space -i episerver.net .templates -- NuGet -- and then the optimizely feed, and then for me I'm doing -- force because I already have this installed. So firing that should install the template for me. Now what you want to do here is a .NET new -- list, and this is going to give you the same screen. However, before moving on, you want to make sure that you have this Episerver CMS empty project, or Epi CMS empty within your list, because if you do not have this template, this install is going to go very badly for you. So now we need to install the CLI tool. So again, this is a .NET space tool space install episerver.net .cli -- global -- add source, and then the optimizely feed. Now, even though this is optimizely CMS 12, there is quite a few references to Episerver. It is what it is. Some days it might get updated, but for now, just be wary that there's a bit of mixed jargon going on. Now, I've already got the CLI tool installed, so I get this error. However, you should get a beautiful install screen. Now, the next thing that we need to do is actually install ourselves a website. And this is done by just doing .NET new, and then it's Epi CMS empty. Remember the name of the template within that list. And then we just need to do name, and I'm going to call my project CMS 12. Now I'm going to do a force because I think I've already got files there. And as you can see, our CMS project has been created successfully. Now the next step is to install the database. And remember, we've already set up our SQL Server for success in step 1. So let's go through everything we need to do. So we need to do a .NET Episerver. Then we need to do a create CMS database. We then need to put in our project name, and then we need to put in our SQL details. So for me, it's going to be .NET Episerver, then space create CMS database, and then it's going to be a error. So the one thing I forgot to do is when you install the template for the first time, it's going to create it within a directory. So I just need to do a cd cms12. So now all I need to do is this .NET Episerver, and then I want to do a create CMS database. Now I want to do cms12.csproj. And then now we need to configure our SQL. So this is going to do our connection string. So first we want to do a -big S, and this is going to be our SQL Server instance. So mine is SQL Express because I'm a cheapskate. Then I need to do a -u, which is our user. So SA. Finally, I need to do a password with some quotes. My super secure password is the password. And then when I hit return, you should see that we've got this create CMS database, and everything is looking beautiful. Now the final thing we need to do is just a .NET run, and everything is done. A useful thing to keep in mind is that sometimes when you do a .NET run, you might not see anything being logged in the terminal. So it might just look like the system's hanged. if you get this, don't worry too much. What you want to do is open up a web browser and then head over to localhost:8000. Now, the second little gotcha is that when you try and view the site, you're going to get a 404 page. Because we have installed this sample site that has no pages, no content in the CMS, nothing's going to display. Now, the typical trick to make sure that everything has installed correctly inside of the CMS is to go to the login page. Now, in CMS 11, you used to be able to just type in Episerver and then that would redirect you. However, as you can see in CMS 12, you get a 404 page. So in CMS 12, you need to do Episerver/CMS. And clicking on that link should hopefully redirect you to this beautiful login page. Now again, because we've installed the empty website, you're not going to have an admin to log in. Now in CMS 11, you could create a local Windows account and use that to bypass your way in. However, this no longer works in CMS 12. So in CMS 12, we're going to have to write some code and update our project to manually create a CMS user for us. So let's quickly have a look how we can do that. You can copy the code to create a admin user yourself from the Episerver GitHub. Now, again, everything's linked below. But if you go to Episerver netcore-preview quicksilver episerver.reference.commerce site /infrastructure/users installer, you can see that there's this very handy class which you can copy and paste. Now this is very similar to the code I created ages ago in CMS 11. However, I'm not taking credit for this one. Now all we need to do is fire up our web project. Now in here, we're just going to create ourselves a new class within Visual Studios. Let's just call it new user or user, and then simply copy and paste everything in there, making sure that we've got our lovely usings. So if we do a build, hopefully we shouldn't get any errors. Let's cancel our .NET run, otherwise it will lock our files. Cool, so you can see that that's gone across. Now the final thing you need to do is go into your startup and then within configure services, as you can see here, I've got this line that I've added already. So you just want to do a services .try add enumerable service descriptor singleton, and then you've got this types of user installer. So we just add that in, click save, and then let's rebuild again, make sure it's all working. That looks like it's gone through according to plan. So all we need to do now is go back to our terminal. Then let's do our .NET run. This should fire up the site again. There we go. And as you can see this time, I'm starting to get some output in the terminal window. Now if I just do a refresh, you can see that I'm automatically logged in now. So if you have a look at the site, and let's look at this new user again, you can see that in here we're creating a new user of admin at example, and the password is Episerver123 ! So you just simply copy this admin and this Episerver123, and then now that we've gone to the CMS, we can log in, and this is going to give you access to CMS 12. So now you've got the CMS installed, you've got access to the admin, visitor groups, and you can start creating your website. Now this is all good and dandy, but let's finish tidying up our IIS. So at the moment, we can't view this site using IIS. We are nearing the home stretch for getting this blank sample site working. So all we need to do now is a net publish. This is then going to publish all of our files. Now the way that the CMS works and the publishing process in .NET 5 is slightly different. And as you can see here, we've got this output directory of bin debug .NET 5/publish. So what you want to do is head over to the IIS web server, and then where we've got our website that we created before, simply do a manage website advanced setting, and then you want to copy in the publish directory. Then now if we just simply click on the view website or browse CMS on port 80, if everything's gone according to plan, I should see a 404 page. And then now if I do a Episerver/CMS, if everything's gone according to plan and I type everything in correctly, so HTTP CMS 12 Episerver CMS, let's just do HTTP. if everything's gone according to plan, I'm now using that host name to connect to my website, and now we've got everything configured perfectly for our development environment. That is all the steps that you need to follow in order to install CMS 12 on your local development environment. So what do you think of CMS 12? How did you find the installation process? I would love to know what you're thinking about it, so please leave a comment below. Now, I was also going to show you how to install the foundation site in this video. However, we're banging on in time-wise. You're probably getting bored. I need a rest, so we're going to do that in another video. So keep your peepers peeled if you want to see that. And that segues nice into my little blurb. So hit that subscribe button if you want to see that foundation installation video, or if you want to see more videos on CMS 12. If you want me to do more of this type of content, then smash subscribe, hit the like button, leave comments below, because I'm more than happy to do any type of video on Episerver if you guys ask for it, that is. Also, if you want to do me a massive solid, hit the like button, because that would trick the YouTube algorithm into showing my video to more people. I also finally do a weekly newsletter. It goes out every Sunday, which keeps you an update of content. So if you want to know when that foundation video comes out, subscribe to the newsletter. There's also a load of links in there which will help you become better at your job and just keep a general eye on what's going on in the industry. So I recommend you go over, subscribe. Otherwise, I hope you found some value from this video. Hope you're having an amazing day wherever you are, and happy coding.